I work across so many different entities, serving on a few boards now. For example, financial services, retail, telecommunications, just to give you some example, healthcare. But for me, it's about the deep emotional commitment an employee has to the organization and stakeholders. And you would have heard a few weeks ago in Washington, D.C., lots of listed organizations got together to talk about the importance of not only shareholder value, but the value that we add to stakeholders and the difference that we make to communities. Did you hear that? Most of you would have heard that. And that's a shift. And what I'm very interested to see is what that translates into, what that actually is going to finally mean. And then the impact of leadership behavior on work engagement mustn't be underestimated. We are living through a leadership crisis right now. And it's not only here, it's in the whole world. We are seeing the most atrocious kind of behavior when it comes to leadership. And the question here is, as HR professionals, what is it that we can actually do to shift the needle just a little bit? And so one of the things that I believe in is that we need to be more compassionate. We need to be more empathetic. And I know that this is now going down a road which is a little bit different. And I'm going to come to the hard stuff is much easier to do than what we used to call soft before, right? So effectively, the soft stuff is the hard stuff right now. And if we don't start to talk this language, we are going to miss this window of opportunity to insert compassion and passion and empathy into conversations. And it goes back to values-based leadership. I think all of us have done some work in the space of values-based leadership, and that our values, the values of respecting people, our values of humility, our values of giving back and making a difference and having a higher purpose, these are the things that I think is a leadership imperative today, because we are failing. We are failing our people, and that is a reality. So everywhere I go, I try to talk about humanizing our organizations, because if we can humanize our organizations, our policies, our practices, our performance will exude that humanization. We need to do a lot more work about being mindful about how we humanize our organizations. We have become quite hostile. There's a lot of anxiety in the system. There's a lot of stress. Now I sit on some of these medical aid trusts, and you see what medications people are on. You listen to people in the corridors, how ill they are because of toxic environments and toxic leaders. And we cannot afford to continue. The cost of this, if you start adding it up, the cost of a toxic environment is hugely expensive for an organization. In fact, it is part of what leads to the spectacular failures that we are currently experiencing in the world, and more particularly in South Africa. So we have a ton of work to do to ensure that, when people are financially invested, they want a return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. And this goes to the discretionary effort. We are willing to do much more when we love being in a space, when we love the people that we are working with, when we enjoy getting up in the morning and going to work. We are prepared to do a lot more. We're prepared to climb over the barriers and to break those barriers down in the workplace that are causing us to not perform optimally. And so, and it sounds like simple, logical, rational thing, If I'm cared about, if I'm recognized, if I'm valued, if there's empathy for me, if, people say thank you to me from time to time, I will do a whole lot more for them. I'll, give up on my extra time for them. But it is becoming a very difficult thing somehow for us to create environments where people can truly grow and thrive and be passionate and energetic in the workplace. And this is the leadership imperative today. But I also want to talk about spiritual wellness here. This is very important. We undermine, I'm not talking about religion now. I'm talking about that deep inner conversations that happen right in our souls, in our inner beings, that drive our behavior, that drive our responses, that drive our impulses. And I'm not going to go into a psychology lesson. Those anchors, your physical, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual elements are very, very important if these things are going to come together in any kind of meaningful way. So I want to start heading towards a close now, and I've taken some of Tom Peters' wisdom here to say that we need radical, extreme humanization. Yeah, this is not my words, this is his words. Yeah? Aggressive listening. How many of us are fiddling and doing a million other things while people are talking? Yeah? We are not listening to listen. We are listening either to give an answer or we're already thinking about the next thing before a person is finished. Care, respect, kindness. Don't you think this world needs a little more kindness? Genuine kindness that costs you absolutely nothing to do every single day. If we can just do that, it will make this world a little bit of a better place. Changing our language, I want to encourage you, this hard, soft thing must go, must fall, yeah? I think we're getting hashtag hard, soft must go. It's all about what we used to think was soft. It's now at the core of what we need to achieve in our organizations, in my belief, okay? Building workplaces that people really love, chief joy offices maybe is a new kind of thing. And the moral dimension. I mean, we now have social and ethics committees. We have remuneration committee. We are talking about ethical behavior, but everywhere we look, there are failures. You can open this business day and you'll see it again. How are we going to lift ourselves up from where we are? And that, I think, is a part of the conversation that we must have. So I want to end here with, personal relationships are fertile soil from which advancement, all success, all achievement in real life grow. Richard Barrett wrote a book, which we use a lot in the Nedbank days, called Unlocking the Corporate Soul. And I think that is very important. I want to put that word love as my last word that I want to leave with you, because I think we need to rethink what this means in our organizations. And with that, I want to thank you.